Welcome to Parent Coaches Unleashed, the podcast where we dive into the highs, lows, and did that really just happen moment of parenting teens and young adults. We're Carrie and Jessica, parent coaches, mythbusters, and occasional referees in the battle of hormones versus common sense.
If you've ever wondered, is this just happening to me? You're not alone. We're here to help you with real talk, expert advice, and hopefully a few laughs along the way. Need more support? We also offer private coaching, workshops, and speaking engagements because sometimes even parents don't have all the answers.
So continue listening as we tackle this parenting journey together.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Parent Coaches Unleashed. And here we are on location. Hello, Carrie.
Hi, Jess. Let's see if we can make it through the entire episode without dripping sweat as we've entered the really humid times in South Florida. So,
Yes, it's actually very funny because the last time we were here, it was nice and breezy. And one of our listeners actually commented, "Why the sweatshirts in South Florida?" That was taped a while back when it was still a little breezy. But we have good cloud coverage, so hopefully it won't be too bad today.
yes. And you know what? You guys, if you're listening, can't tell if we're sweating. So, we will maybe be strategic on what clips we actually put on social media.
Very good point. I guess they'll just hear our panting.
Yes. Or lots of water drinking.
Yes, one or the other.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at my water bottle right now. My water bottle is sweating.
Better your water bottle than you.
All right. Well, we have an interesting topic today, and it's something that we talk about a lot, social media. And the topic is, do social media posts make us as parents feel inadequate, or are they helping us learn new skills or maybe see things in a different light?
To go right off the bat with both.
Okay.
Because for those social media influencers that are keeping it real, I feel that it is real. Listen, we put stuff out there too. And I like to think that we are not projecting a perfect parenting
Mhm.
scenario. I like to think that we're keeping it real. I feel like when we have discussions on our podcast, we actually point out the messy, bumpy parts to our parenting journeys. But I don't think that's the case for everyone out there. There are people out there that are branding themselves or are selling something, and their whole idea is to paint this picture of perfection. But even if that's not so, if we're looking at something that typically tends to be an insecurity for us, it absolutely highlights when we see somebody else doing that to perfection. For example, 50-plus-year-old women that I watch and have these incredible bodies. They meal prep, they eat their protein, the right amount of protein, and they look fabulous. That is something that I am struggling with right now. So I watch these people and I'm like, how are they doing it? How is it possible? And I don't know if, if they've had surgery. I don't know if they're using other
Supplements
supplements.
or shots.
Right. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And we're not discounting shots here. That's
Yeah.
not what we're
No.
doing. We have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. But when you're in a vulnerable state or you see something that is a trigger for you, an insecurity for you, it makes people seem like they have it all together. And what's wrong with me?
Right.
But here's quick PSA, there's nothing wrong with you.
So, is that the source we should be going to for this information? So, for example, if you're questioning or wanting more education and information on what to do with my 50 plus body, maybe social media is not the place to be seeking some education.
Well, doesn't that negate what we're doing here? Like, we're here trying to help parents through their parenting journey.
Well, but then people would need to seek us out to want to hear what we have to say versus if they thought they were the perfect parent, didn't have any issues in their parenting or with their family, and felt like very confident about their role as a mom or a parent, whatever stage they're in, they're not going to be listening to us, like, because they don't have a need. But I don't think what we're doing is trying to show perfect skills
Right.
and
I agree.
perfect examples. We're
Yes.
trying to show real life and our vulnerability and maybe things we learned. So, if these 50 plus bodies, women with great bodies, great workout systems, meal prepping, is their intention to say, look at me? Or is the intention to say, hey, I used to be, you know, 15 pounds heavier, or I was so lazy, or I didn't know how to cook. So I think maybe what you're saying, or maybe what might be helpful, is when you get in that triggering moment of why is it working for them and not for me? Maybe the mindset is, hey, maybe look for the person who shows their before and after journey and not just where they are right now, or and find those people that are like, I've been there, I know how it feels, and not the one who's just saying it, but then again, I don't
Sure.
know. Everyone is looking for something different, and I don't think everybody views social media in the same way. Like, some of it's just pure entertainment. I'm
Absolutely.
bored, I'm just gonna scroll.
So I think what you touched on is absolutely true. The truth is we don't know why these people that we scroll on social media, we don't know their purpose. For
Mhm.
all of us, we don't know why they're coming on here. Now, many of them, if you go back into their history, you'll learn their purpose if you go and dig a little deeper and find out something more about them. But it's your mindset that you're
Yeah.
bringing to it. If you're watching these things as a tool, as a guide, as, oh, maybe this person has something to offer, instead of what's wrong with me, how come this person can do it and I can't? It's your mindset that has to shift while watching these people.
Yes. And isn't that the answer for most of our challenges, whether it's self talk, how we feel about ourselves, our self image, our confidence, or how we show up at work or in our relationship with our spouse or with parenting, right?
Absolutely.
That piece of advice can help in all aspects of our life because it's really about, and that's all we control is our actions, our thoughts, and our behaviors. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to talk about this very out of control moment I had because here I am professing, oh, we need to be in control. We can
Yes.
control, but I did have a very out of control moment.
Yes. Carrie definitely had a reaction to something she saw online, which actually brought us to this topic today. So go ahead, Carrie,
Yeah,
share.
because what Jessica and I do is, as we are looking for relevant topics, we're doing some scrolling ourselves to see what is trending out there. And we will share back and forth, like, would this be a good topic? Or how do you feel about that? Because we don't always want to agree about everything in parenting. We want to give all sorts of scenarios and opinions because our listeners are going to take from it what works for them and apply it to their situation. But anyway, so I'm scrolling and I see this woman who is showing 4 or 5 pictures of what appears to me to be the perfect family. So it's 5 members: husband, wife, 2 daughters, and a son. And she's showing them at some more recent stages, a vacation picture or graduation picture. And in the comments, she's talking about
They're
how
all young adults, correct?
yes, they are
Okay.
all young adults, so I'm gonna guess they're somewhere in their
They're yep.
20s. So, one of her comments in her post is that a lot of us get very stuck in like the moment and how difficult parenting is or a stage is, but we forget to look at the long run. And that she states that her and her husband, early on in their parenting, made a plan for the long run. And this was to intentionally create a team concept with their family, and they actually controlled a little bit how much time their kids spent together versus with friends, and did a lot together and vacations because their intention was to have their children, two girls, one boy, be best friends in the long run. Now, I don't know why it got me a little heated.
Definitely triggered you.
Because that is awesome for her, right? She had enough wherewithal as a young parent to talk to her spouse and actually communicate a plan that they agreed to and carried out. And in her situation, it appears, right? All we're seeing and all she's showing us are the happy pictures and the result, at least for right now, that her children appear to be best friends and seek each other out. So, again, I'm not going to read past what she's showing us,
Sure.
and this is what she said. But what went off for me, and it's not my own scenario, like I
Right, that's
didn't,
what I found so interesting. It had nothing to do with your own family.
no, no, I did not take it personally or say, well, what did I do wrong? I wish I would have thought that way. It got me thinking about all the other families out there that look different.
Yes.
So, for example, there might just be one parent, or there could be one birth child, one adopted child, or someone with neurodivergent behaviors. And what if parents can't afford to take their kids on vacation and create these memories and times for our kids to really enjoy and spend time with each other? Not saying that in your home you can't create
Right.
that,
Yes.
but it just got me thinking about how other people might view what she put out there. Now, I can look at it from all aspects and say, good for her, right? Like, and I'm
Right.
not trying to, I hope I'm not sounding
No, 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 no,
sarcastic.
no. Well,
I'm
maybe a
not mean,
little, but
okay,
that's not your intent.
no, my
You're
intent
in
is not that at all.
really good for her. Like, kudos
Yes,
to her that
yes,
she has been able to establish this bond between her kids that she is so super proud of.
right.
Period.
I would have preferred seeing pictures along the way saying, my husband and I set out with this intention. Well, here's this stage where you could see the kids going at each other or having a fight or not talking to each other. Or, hop forward to when they're 30. I never thought I would see this moment because we had so many challenging stages. And I'm really happy to hear that they are reaching out to each other, not with us involved, and they are really friends. Because it doesn't just work out perfectly like that. And I think that's the fiery part for me, was that where are the real moments of how hard that was to create, and not, I had this intention and it worked out perfectly. Look at us now. The other part is we are not in control how our children feel about each other in
Right.
terms of friendship. Now,
Yep.
in a perfect world, of course, I have boys, they're 2.5 years apart. Would I love for my children to be best friends? Maybe.
Well, can
Would
we
I
just stop
care?
right there?
Yes. Yes.
Because I wanna say that
Yeah.
that is definitely something I had always thought about it, that if my kids did not remain close into adulthood, I always looked at it like that would be somehow a failure on my part, okay? And we there were some ugly moments between Cody and Jackson. The sun rose and set on Cody for Jackson, and there was a very long stage where Cody was just an asshole to Jackson. Like, he just was. He was the typical older brother. I remember one time Jackson came in with a handprint across his back because Cody had slapped him
Slapped him.
so hard. Yeah, like, but is this normal sibling stuff? Probably.
Yes, yes,
So today they are thick as thieves. They are very close. I will say that all 3 of my kids are close and have a strong relationship. I don't know that I would want to call them anymore best friends. Like, I
yes,
feel like that I don't wanna say a juvenile term, but I kind of shifted my thinking, and I don't want them to be best friends. I want them to have a strong relationship independent of their mom and dad.
yes, I agree. Yeah, so the intent is to raise in our family. I want respect. I would love them to have love for each other, but I don't you we don't control if they're good friends or not. And what does that even look like, and who's assessing if you're a good friend or not? Should we love and support each other in good times and in bad times? Absolutely. Should we celebrate each other's wins? Absolutely. But, looking at how I was raised, right? I have one brother, he's younger. We were very different. Do I love him? Yes. Were we close when we were maybe. Growing up, maybe. I never remember my parents making a big, huge deal about friendship and what their expectation is when we get older. But now we are older and we have our own families and we respect each other, we love each other, and we work really well together in terms of caring for our parents and getting our families together, and the relationships I have with his boys and he and his wife have with my boys. So, but I don't know, and maybe that's what's affected my decision in parenting,
Mhm.
that I didn't have this picture of best friends, or I don't know, whatever.
It's interesting you say that because we've discussed on here before that I feel so much of parenting comes from your modeling. Do as I do, not as I say. Definitely my kids have seen extremely close relationships.
We didn't talk about the flies, right? We
They
talked
have not
about
come over to my end yet. I just
spreading, but now I have a fly best friend. Okay. Sorry, go for it.
So on my end, I know that my kids, I have an extremely close relationship with my sister, and Lonnie, my husband, has a close but different close with his siblings. Now, when Lonnie and I first met, I said to him, "What do you mean you're close with your siblings? You only speak to them like once a week, once every 10 days, once every 2 weeks." And I would speak to my sister every day. And to me, I associated closeness with
How
the
often we
amount
could.
of time you
Yes.
communicated, which
Yes.
once I grew up and realized that that absolutely has nothing to do with it, my kids were able to see different types of relationships, but still, like you said, still supportive, still someone you can lean on, still someone that you had, that you were in this together kind of thing when it came to dealing with other family matters.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think, to summarize why I got so heated with her portrayal of her family, is I just don't want other parents out there, and certainly those that are listening, to feel like they have to meet up to somebody else's standard, or what's out there as what is portrayed as like the happy family. And even if you did all these things, right? Like, let's say you had her same intentions, we're going to create a team, environment for our fivesome. And, you know, we're going to go on vacations together. We're going to spend all this different time together. I just don't want anyone to feel that even if you did all of these things, that you are not in control of the outcome. You have raised your children. They have their own personality, they have their own desires and their own needs that they get from their family. And I don't want anyone to feel that they've failed. They could have done something differently, or they should feel shame that their family situation looks different than
So
another.
I think you used a good word yesterday, the word puppeteer. We are not puppeteers. We cannot control, we can only guide. We cannot control what the final outcome will be and who our children will choose to be as adults.
Yes. So we had more to talk about. However, we are going to end this episode because we are now sweating, dripping from rain, and being attacked by flies. So we hope that you got something out of this, and we would love to hear from you at info@parentcoachesunleashed.com. What was your goal or intention when you set out raising your family? And did you look at the long haul, what outcome you wanted at the end? But, you know, the other thing too is we're never done parenting. So,
Think also how we started this episode. Don't let social media dictate how you feel about your successes.
yes. All right. On that note, thank you so much for listening and reach out to us. Follow us on Instagram, Parent Coaches Unleashed, and make it a good one. Thank you for listening to this episode of Parent Coaches Unleashed with Carrie and Jessica. Together, we can raise the next generation of independent, capable, and compassionate young adults.
We encourage you to send us an email with questions and feedback to info@parentcoachesunleashed.com. Please remember, you are not alone on this parenting journey.